so interested in seeing what him and Quinn Ewers do this year. There's been so much hype.
We should have a pretty dangerous running back in Blake Corum.
Maryland's gone. Talia tagged by Loa.
Yeah.
A little too backyard football.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And you know what day it is. It's Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. You got through the week. You made it. And you know who I'm with early one Saturday morning. My guy,
yes, sir.
And the host of Restoring the Roar, Mr. Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. We're getting to that time of year. 3 weeks from now, it's day 3 of the draft. We're almost there.
Come on now. And I am excited. I'm excited.
Oh, me too.
Alex, you don't know what could happen. Like, at the end of the day, all of this that we're doing could all go out the window. You know, and we're just
100%.
Like, you know?
Well, and so these people that do the mock drafts, like, if you get 8 out of 32 right, if you get a quarter of the draft right, that's like elite level mock draft.
Right.
Which is insane because it's like 8 out of 32. It sounds like it sucks, but that's unreal for a mock draft. That's just how crazy the NFL is.
I'm telling you, guys, you have to understand, even the greats, even the Mel Kipers miss on some of these guys. I was watching something.
The majority of the time, yeah.
Oh, right. I was watching something a couple years ago, or, you know, one of these little trivia things, and they were talking about he had picked this guy at a cow. And I'm not talking Aaron Rodgers. I'm not talking Jared Goff. I'm talking some cat named like Polanski or something. And he was like, dude, this guy's going to be a top 20 pick. He's going to be a top 20. The guy didn't even get picked till the 8th round. That's when they have more than 7 rounds. You know, he picked him in and kind of just mum's the word. But everybody else is like, dude, this guy's terrible. Why are you trying to get him that high? So, yeah, it's not an exact science, people.
No, not even remotely.
No. What's up, people that are watching? Scott Thaler first, Johnny Dean second.
Oh,
thank you, Scott. 2 of the nicest guys on all podcasts. I can dig it. Mel Kiper sucks, Johnny Dean. Yeah, I understand. I get it. Johnny Dean, I'm glad you're kind of out. I know it's baseball season. Normally you hibernate during this time of year. You good, buddy? You good?
And Johnny leaves the broadcast.
Right. That's right. It's my show. You can't click me off, Johnny. Let's go. Yo, shout out to you guys waking up early with us, watching talk about college football, because as my guy and I have talked about, the college football season is 365 days. Don't get it twisted.
Oh, yeah.
So, and speaking of which, one of the things that we actually love doing, and the reason why, why did you ruin the show, Sean? Sorry, Johnny. Sorry, man. One of the things that we do talk about in this, and if you're gamers, this is where you want to tune in. We love watching the game and everything, but we like taking it one step further and getting down in and being the GM, being the head coach, and working at it on our NCAA 14 or NCAA revamp dynasty updates. I'm going to come to you first, because I know you've been through it this last couple of days, man. What's going on?
Yeah, so I had Army again for, like, as you know from last week, I do the home and homes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the back end of Army. Exact same game as last, like the year before. It was turnover after turnover after turnover.
Yep.
And then I got it rolling and came right back. This time, though, I scored with like 8 seconds left again. It was like both times were inside of 30 seconds. This time I got the onside kick, threw the Hail Mary, and it was that Tennessee St. Louis Super Bowl all over again. I got tackled at the 2-yard line, lost 56-49 again. Exact same score as the other one. And then ran the table the rest of the way because I'm in the Sun Belt. Destroyed Southern Alabama in the Sun Belt Conference Championship.
Yeah.
And then it had teams. I only had the one loss, and it had teams with 2 and 3 losses above me because they won the ACC, Pac-12, all that. So I said, no, this is ridiculous. I found there's a mod online you can get where you can set up an actual CFP playoff.
Oh yeah.
So I did that. I did an 8-team playoff. So I've got the rankings here. I went all into it.
Yes.
Where are we at here? So I had 1 seed Nebraska. They went undefeated, won the Big Ten, and just they dominated everybody. They were the only undefeated team. I did all the conference champions for the Power 5, and then I did 3 wild cards.
Okay.
So Nebraska won the Big Ten. They were the 1 seed. Clemson won the ACC. They were the 2 seed. UCF won the Big 12. They were the 3 seed.
Oh, wow.
I was the top wild card team. I was better than the other conference champions, so I put myself at the 4.
Yep.
Colorado won the Pac-12. They were the 5 seed. Yeah, Colorado. Oklahoma was the 2nd wild card. They were the 6th seed. Army, who beat me but lost to Oklahoma, ended up being the 7th seed. Had they been in a conference, I probably would have put them ahead.
That's right. They're independent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So because they were independent and lost to Oklahoma, and my resume was better than Oklahoma, I went me, Oklahoma, then Army, and Florida won the SEC. So the SEC wild card was higher than the SEC champion, just based on the resumes and everything.
Yeah.
Oklahoma was in the other division, actually had a better record than Florida.
Oh, that's right.
But the way it played out, Florida beat whoever won the SEC West.
Yeah.
So Florida's in because of the SEC champion, but Oklahoma's the better team.
Now let people know you've altered things to how they are coming up.
Yeah.
So if you hear Oklahoma in the SEC, it's because that's what's going to happen.
Oh, I started right off the bat with like USC, UCLA went to the Big Ten. Oklahoma and Texas went to the SEC. UCF, Cincinnati, all those guys went to the Big 12.
Oh, yeah.
The Pac-12 has like 8 teams left.
Back to the Pac-8.
So, yeah. So Nebraska beat the brakes off Florida. It was 28-9. Mm-hmm. Clemson and Army. Clemson won 37-34. And 3-seeded UCF and 4-seeded JMU both beat their opponents by a score of 38-21.
Okay.
So the semifinal, Clemson beat UCF. I forget what the score was because after my game, I was just so done with it. I was just like, let's get it over with. Because Nebraska beats JMU 36-32. I was up 32-29 with under 2 minutes left. They had all 3 timeouts. So I was like, okay, I got to run the ball, chew this clock, made them eat their timeouts. And 2nd down, my running back, I handed off to him just a straight dive. He fumbles the ball. Nebraska picks it up, drives down the field, and scores with like right as time expired to win 36-32. Nebraska went on to win the whole thing. I had the number 1 recruiting class going into this next season. Started off number 5. Beat the brakes off Minnesota to end that home and home. I was still playing when Sean messaged me the link for this. So I'm currently in a battle with 19th ranked Missouri. It's 7-7 early in the 2nd quarter. I went down, drove the field and scored. And then they took it right back on me with a kick return touchdown. I almost went right back on them. Got it right to midfield. And then I just kind of put it on pause there.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. So we'll try to get through this quick so you can get back to it because I get it 100%. So I've told you, and ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know, I am playing with Temple out of Philadelphia. Obviously, they started as a very low seed. I've been coaching there, my guy, for 10 years. This is the 10th and final year. So, like many other years, because we are in the American Conference, they don't really respect us. They don't acknowledge us. So we can go undefeated, and they're still going to put us, outside the top 4, this and that stuff. So this year we had that. We actually started at 4. And at one point, after blowing teams out, we went back to 8th, 9th, so we started to bring it back up. Obviously, we also in our conference championship played because I added 2 teams in so we could play a conference championship. So in that conference championship, we play Louisville. So we are beaten Louisville, but it really doesn't move a record or anything. So there's no spot for us to win the national championship or even get in that consideration. But at that point, I'd already resigned to the fact because, like I told you, I had a quarterback way back named Hamilton. Guy was amazing. We were on the run. We were actually 3rd, and then he gets hurt 2 weeks towards the end of the year, drops off the Heisman list. We ended up losing and not making it to the it was not good for us. So this year I've been trying to focus on, getting some of my guys. I got a stud receiver, Titus Washington Jr., who up into the conference championship was number 1 on the Heisman list and completely laid an egg. Guy had like 70 some odd yards. Mind you, he had been averaging like 150 a game. Has like 70 some odd yards. I don't even think he had a touchdown. Like, this guy has been balling out all year, and he drops to LSU, their quarterback, who had 1,000 yards rushing and 3,000 yards passing. So I understand it, but I mean, my receiver was killing it. He was absolutely killing it. Now we actually play in the Fiesta, or I think it's either Fiesta or the Orange Bowl. I think we played the Orange Bowl last year. Now we actually are going to go up against LSU. So I'm zero blitzing all day. I'm making sure we take him out of the game. Let's just say that. But yeah, it's a bitter pill to swallow because I know this is it. I've already started to recruit to the way that it's just like, I used to be like under 73, you're not coming on my team. Like I'm 73 and above. I just want studs. Now I'm like, you're 65. I'm not going to be here. So you're good. Yeah. I played all my quarterbacks just to get them out there, get them an opportunity in case they want to transfer or anything like that. Hold up. He said, here he goes. He said, explain what you guys are talking about. All right, Xbox 360, PS3, talk about video games right now. Sorry about that, Johnny.
So the last college football game they've ever made, well, the next one's coming next year. Yeah. But NCAA 14 was the last college football game most people thought they were ever going to make. Yeah. So there's still a bunch of us that are playing this game. I'm in like 3 Facebook groups that are just that game alone. Yep. There's still people doing like online dynasties. There's people like there's a big following for this game still, for a game that was made 10 years ago.
Yes.
That's insane.
I'm sorry, it's every bit worth it. Bit
100%.
Are you talking about video game? Yes.
Absolutely.
Nathan, what's going on? So Alex plays on PS3, right?
Yeah.
And I'm on Xbox 360 with it. So his game's actually the revamped version where it's more.
Yeah, I went through and modded everything. Yeah.
So mine is just straight up old school, And JSU, what's going on, Andrew? Appreciate it. You said you'd come on.
JSU in that game.
Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice. Hey, look, and Andrew Scott said we need to get Andrew Faubert on here so we can get some prizes. Hey, so you can get some college prizes. We can work it out, man. We can work it out.
I like it.
He said, I thought you guys were talking about some new dynasty league. It's an expansion league, all right?
We're talking about our dynasty leagues.
Right. Oh, man. I don't have PS3 traded for a 4A. Understand.
You got a 360?
Yeah, right. You can play it. You can play it on the PS3 as well, to be honest.
Yeah, so, PS3, but can't on the PS4, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, I don't play video games. I watch real games. Hey, that's on you. I don't know what you're doing in your spare time. But outside of doing this, all right, and taking care of Cat, I'm on there. That's how I decompress.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at, and we'll definitely give you new detail. Like I said, I am at the end of my tenure here at Temple. It's that point where I had to leave a couple years back. I was like, should I do it? But I had like the Washington Junior, so I said, you know what? Let me stick it out till at least he gets draft eligible. He's a junior this year, so he might come back. But even if he does come back, I'm still made up my mind that I'm going to leave. What I don't know is where I want to go. I've seen some big name teams that look like they could use me. Obviously, my dream school is Carolina, but I'm trying to wait on that. But I don't
That's
know.
all I'm waiting for too.
Yeah, see, I might just stay back and just go to another small school, maybe even just go coordinator for a while. I don't know what I'm gonna do, so I'll let you guys know. What do you think? Because after being a coach for so long, it's hard to go back and be like just a coordinator.
Yeah,
I
can do it. I'm the same as you. I'm waiting. Michigan, Harbaugh's getting up there in age. He's about to retire, so I got my eyes set on that. I'm in year 9, so I'm not too far behind you there.
Right there.
And I'm getting kind of sick of getting disrespected being in the Sun Belt Conference. So
that's it.
There's part of me that's like, just go jump to another school till Michigan's ready. Well, there's part of me that's like, no, I set my goal of I'm staying at JMU till Michigan comes calling.
Right.
So I'm battling that just like you are right now.
And see, that's the thing. Like I told you, I went and I could have gone out a couple years ago, but even when I went through the carousel, it wasn't the right teams. It was New Mexico State, so I'm gonna have to restart that. It was sorry, Scott. It was Missouri, but they weren't great at the time, and that was a stacked SEC. You know what I mean? It was like Vandy, NC State. So there was just teams that I just don't want to take. I had a better thing at Temple. I don't want to restart with somebody that wasn't going to put it all into. So,
yeah,
that's where we were. We talk about Vandy in the house. Nathan said there's a guy, Mike Daniels 247 on YouTube. Check him out. He does NCAA video games. Okay, might have to.
Okay, there was another guy that I used to watch stream, but he stopped playing. He was in one of those online dynasties, and like those big time ones, and he was playing 2-3 times a week, and I used to watch him, and he's a Buckeye guy, so I was supporting a Buckeye fan and watching him. He was so much fun, but he's moved on. He's playing 2K and that kind of stuff now. So, but yeah, there's been a few of these guys that I've watched play college football video games for sure.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at when you watch somebody play. The first thing I always want to do is play because I'm just critiquing what they're doing. I'm like, X is wide open. What are you doing? So,
and then I immediately go to, well, if I was playing, would I have seen that?
right.
Yeah,
exactly. So look, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're definitely going to be bringing you our NCAA and I'm going to get that and revamped dynasty updates. Just a little something that we like to do. We even got a little group chat going with myself, Mr. Luce Moore, and our guy Will Kramer on there. Just going back and forth. Just something to do and continue the conversation, man. Continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I always take college football's national championship on Sega Genesis, put it on the full season, take the lowest team, played it all of the top 11 and go unbeaten. Okay. I like that.
I like it.
Back on Sega. All right. But look, ladies and gentlemen, we know why you're here. We've been doing it. My guy Alex alluded to it earlier. We've been talking about the draft coming up in 3 weeks. 3 weeks today, it will be the second day of the draft, like my guy talked about, and it is exciting. It's right there. For those of you college football fans, you realize college football is 365 days of the year, although there might not be games. And actually, technically right now, there are games.
There are games, yeah.
The spring games are going on right now. So tune into that. Do you guys, when do you guys play? That was yours last week, right?
We played last Saturday, yeah.
How'd that go?
It was interesting because there was a lot of guys out. They played JJ because he hasn't really got to play in a spring game yet, and he wanted to play, so they played him. But Corum was obviously out. Edwards was out. They were coaching. I don't think Cornelius Johnson, those like other top tier guys played, but there were a lot of like trying to find that third string running back was interesting. Kalel Mullings, the linebacker they brought over last year, did very well.
Okay.
The backup quarterback battle was very interesting too. Jack Tuttle they brought over from Indiana.
Yeah. And
then you had the guys from last year. Tuttle balled out, man. He played very well. I was very excited to see him. There's a guy, I'm blanking his name right now, but he's a sophomore nose tackle. And they're already calling him Monty Smith 2.0, and he fits the bill. He played unreal last weekend. Okay. Defense looked phenomenal, but as typical, as it usually is in the spring games and early training camp, your defense is miles ahead of your offense. But yeah, that defense looks like it could be special again.
Oh, I like that. I know you sent me the schedule. I'm trying to see when all of the teams play. Chris is saying Vandy, their scrimmage is today. He said it's wet and it's cold. Ooh, that should be interesting. I know next week is Georgia. I know they play next week. Give me a second. I thought you sent me. There it is.
I was gonna say it's a ways back up in the chat now. With all the NCAA talk or the NCAA 14 talk.
Right. So Kansas and Montana were yesterday. Today is Ball State, East Carolina, NC State, Auburn, Temple. Let's go. I might have to watch them just to see. Boise State, UNLV. What up, Ben? Coastal Carolina, Toledo, and yes, Chris, your Vanderbilt will be on ESPN Plus and the SEC network at 6 p.m. tonight. So tune into those. That's especially if any of you are like us that are just kind of craving football at we're talking dynasty mode on here.
Yeah.
Watch these. It's going to give you a little sample size, but it'll give you something. It'll give you something to just hold you over. So I look forward to going back and looking at some of those. But look, you know why we're here. We're doing our draft position analysis. We covered the quarterback. We covered the wide receiver and the running back, the interior and tackles on the O-line. Now we're going to hit two groups today. We'll first hit the tight ends. Secondly, we're going to hit the edge rushers as we start with their defense. But like I mentioned, we're starting off tight ends. And I'm going to be honest with you. You and I talked before this show about some of the tight ends that were picked up last year. You know, Charlie Kohler out of Iowa State, Isaiah Likely from Coastal Carolina. We got Cole Turner, who did not pan out for us. Jake Ferguson in Iowa, I think, with the Dallas. There are a number of guys that came in, but nobody really kind of, unless you're doing something like this where you're diving into it, nobody really kind of wowed you last year.
Yeah, they were all kind of second, third string guys. I mean, Ferguson was probably the most productive. Isaiah Likely had the best stretch when he took over for Andrews when Andrews was out in Baltimore. But I mean, he looked solid. Ferguson looked solid in the time he was in. James Mitchell, a little bit he got in for Detroit, looked solid. Nobody really gave you that, wow, they're going to be the starter kind of vibe, though. Likely probably would if he wasn't playing behind Mark Andrews. But everyone else, Cade Otton, We forgot. It was all these guys kind of clumped into the middle of the draft there. I like what Cade Otton did. He's probably going to be the starter unless, there's a few guys in this year's draft I would take over him personally, but.
Yeah, when I look at this year's draft, I for me, it's just more of a confidence thing. I feel more confident with the guys that I see, and it starts with the top. You said you could just go to the top 10 tight ends in this draft, very loaded this year. Yeah, Oh, absolutely. I'm not sure. I see Chig
Okonkwo, the guy from Maryland last year that went to Tennessee.
That's the guy.
He's not that dynamic receiving threat,
right? But I think didn't he have a big pro day or something? Like his combine was good last year, where he
was very good athletically in the pre-draft process last year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So but hey, you alluded to it, Johnny. We are actually going to go into our top 5 and kind of into our top of the list. I think there's only one name that really leads this list, and we've talked about him for a while. It's Michael Mayer, 6'4", 249. He runs a 4.7 40. And over his last couple years, I think he's accumulated over 2,000 yards receiving. This guy, quickness, size, natural instincts. This guy is just elite. But I've heard people say that they're not maybe trying to take him so early. What are your thoughts about Michael Mayer?
To me, he is the best tight end in this draft class. A lot of people are saying he shouldn't be the first off the board. A lot of people are looking at Dalton Kincaid from Utah.
Yeah.
That's more because of what a lot of these offenses are wanting out of their tight ends now. They're wanting the Travis Kelce's, the Kyle Pitts, the receiving tight ends. And Dalton Kincaid is the better receiving threat of the two, no question. But Michael Mayer fits what a lot of these, like, Michael Mayer fits what Detroit's trying to do with their tight end, what Green Bay's trying to do with their tight end. Like, all these teams that, like, San Francisco, like, all these teams that are using their tight ends as blockers, because that's who Michael Mayer reminds me a lot of, is George Kittle. He's a solid blocker, good getting out in the passing game. He's a guy that's not great at anything, but he's really good at everything.
Right.
He should be a top 15 pick. I've heard if the Lions see him there at 18, they're taking him.
Really?
I've been starting to hear that. So
see, and I mean, the reason why I want to talk about him is because that's somebody that I've been mentioned to you multiple times. I mentioned it to Will, and Will, basically, came at me like, we're not picking this guy up at 11 or at 16 and this and that. But I'm like, if he is what we're expecting him to be, you mentioned George Kittle. If he is that kind of Kelsey type, if he is somebody that can take top off a defense, I mean, we got a rookie quarterback. Of course you want to take him. I mean, in my mind, the perfect scenario is Washington's going to take a lineman. Hopefully Cody Monk, but we'll get to that. But at the end of the day, if he's there, I mean, we all know most draft boards is best on the board. So if he's there, me personally, I don't see a problem in taking him because he is a threat. We've got 3 solid wide receivers. Getting that tight end in, and especially after what Cole Turner did last year, it's worth a look, in my opinion. In my opinion. So we shall see. But where are you going after that? We know Michael Mayer's at the top. You talked about Kincaid. Johnny said Darnell Washington out of Georgia. What are some?
That's my number 3 guy.
That's your number.
Darnell Washington's my number 3 guy. He's my favorite, actually, of the tight ends, like my personal favorite. But he's not the best of them. He just massive human being. What 6'6", 6'7", something like that. 275. Very good in the he's a good route runner. Obviously, at that size, he's a hell of a run blocker. He's sneaky good with the ball in his hands after the catch. This is a guy that might sneak into the first round, probably early second round. But he's phenomenal. The only reason he's not right at the top is because he was overshadowed by Brock Bowers, and rightfully so. I mean, that guy's an animal. But it's a lot of what you're looking for. Like, if you're looking for the pass catching guy, Kincaid's your guy. If you're looking for the all around guy, Mayer's your guy. If you're looking for the blocker that can still catch and get out there, it's Washington. Those 3 are the top tier. And then after that, not far below is the second tier, where I have 4, 5, and 6. My 4 and 5, I've got Sam Laporta from Iowa. Yes. I love what he brings. I mean, obviously there's a plethora of Iowa tight ends in the NFL, and starters at that. And then you have, for me, my number 5, most people have him at number 3 or 4, is Luke Musgrave from Oregon State. Again, this is another very good tight end. If you get any of these top 5 tight ends, you're getting a starting tight end at the NFL level.
Absolutely. And I think it is more of what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Because there's a part of us, like I mentioned, we want to take the top off. We want somebody that's going to help our quarterback. But at the same time, we got to remember that our O-line has been struggling. Now, we've been trying to build it this year, and I'm speaking about Washington. But one of the things that would help an O-line, obviously, is a good running back that can help chip, but also that tight end on the end of the line. We got a guy a couple years ago at a Boise State he's not really going to separate, but he's got solid hands, and he's a great blocker, which is great for us, as opposed to Cole Turner, who we got last year, that really kind of struggled. So when I look at, obviously, Kincaid is he's that threat. But then I also look at Darnell Washington, and I don't think I mean, obviously, if you're looking straight at him, you can't see around the man, but I don't think you can overlook him. If the first 2 are off the board early, I think picking up a guy that's 6'7", like 264 pounds, almost like a linebacker. Like you pick somebody up with that kind of size, and we've seen his athleticism, one-handed catches in pro day and the combine and all that. So I definitely love that. For me, shout out to our girl Ash Swinton and her love of Iowa. I think you got to go Laporta. I mean, first and foremost, he comes from Iowa, so they run the ball. They don't pass as much, but he gave them that weapon. But this guy's got size. This guy's got ability. But as a running back, more blockers for me, the better. So I always liked having another guy that could potentially move the pile. And I like what Laporta can do. And then in 5 is Musgrave, because my top 3 is quite similar to yours, but 5 is Musgrave. Let's see. Washington could almost.
And the next comment is the exact same thing. Yeah.
Right. But exactly.
Yeah.
And I just don't think you can go wrong with that, because at least you're going to have a good blocker over there. And having that extra man, and especially, I mean, Rivera came out and said, we're a run team. We're trying to run the ball. And we've got a rookie quarterback, which leads me to believe we're going to do a lot of running. Let's get a guy like this that can sit there and help move the pile. And then, hey, if he's at the goal line, he can out-jump everybody because he's 6 foot flipping 7, or he can out-body everybody because he's 200 and almost 70 daggone pounds. So, Darnell Washington has definitely moved up on that list, and I'm excited to see what he does. All right, so we've looked at that. We've looked at the top of the list. Those are the guys that everybody kind of sees. You said you're 6. You had Musgrave in there. Tucker Croft, I've seen show up. What about your guy?
He's my 6, yeah.
He's your 6, Tucker Croft?
Schoonmaker is my 7.
Okay. Now, speak to me about him. Is he? I mean, I know he's strong and he's athletic, but what is he a good catcher? Is he mainly a lineman? Like, what are your thoughts about Schoonmaker?
If you're looking at just players in this draft class, he's a lesser version of Michael Mayer. He's the guy that is a good run blocker, good route runner, good hands, can move with the ball after. He doesn't do it as well as those top guys. Gotcha. So he's definitely a day 3 guy. He'll go probably round 4, round 5, maybe round 3, but it's a guy that'll compete for a starting spot. And if not, he gives you good depth. He's got the ability to do it all. I love what he did for us. I remember not this past season, but the 2021 season, he actually won us the game against Penn State. It was a brawl back and forth, and I think it was like 4th and 5 or whatever. We hit a little out route to him, and he ran it another 25, 30 yards for a touchdown right near the end of the game. So he's got the ability to do it all. He's kind of like, I mean, not what we were saying for Washington. He doesn't need to put on the weight to be the 6'0" lineman, but I think he needs to be a little bit heavier just to be able to have that size to move people around at this level. But I love what he brings to the table.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have a question for our host from Restoring the Roar. Who y'all think the Detroit Lions draft at 6 and 18 if they stay there? And
I've been scrambling my brain.
My guy has been sitting here going through over and over different mocks, so I'm eager to hear this, man. What do you think, man?
So, obviously, it all depends what happens in front of us. I think it's quarterback at 1, quarterback at 2. I think it's quarterback at 3 and 4 as well. I think Tennessee is going to trade up to 3 with Arizona, get their guy, jump ahead of the Colts and take Anthony Richardson. And I think the Colts are just going to take Will Levis because that's the last quarterback left. Mm-hmm. And then Seattle's a total wild card, just like the Lions are right now. Especially if the 4 quarterbacks are off the board, they're going defense. But do they go Tyree Wilson? Do they go Will Anderson? Do they take the chance on Jalen Carter? Yeah. I think Seattle would probably go Will Anderson. So I think at 6, you're looking at Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carter, or one of those corners. Christian Gonzalez, Devon Witherspoon. I think it's a little early for the corner, personally. I still think this is a franchise that could get the most out of Jalen Carter. Mm-hmm. I think this is a team that could deal with Jalen Carter's off-the-field stuff if he still has it coming into the NFL. And talent-wise, he's the best player in this draft.
Yeah.
So to me, take the stab at it. And then at 18, like I said earlier, if Michael Mayer's there, I'm hearing that the Lions are taking him. I'm looking at if Quentin Johnston's still there, Osiris Torrance potentially finish off the O-line, or one of those corners if they're there. The Gonzalez, Devon Witherspoon, Joey Porter Jr., one of those guys.
Yeah.
I think you double up on defense unless it's one of those top-tier offensive guys is still there.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think we go Bijan Robinson anymore, paying Montgomery $6 million a year.
Yeah. I've heard reports about Dallas getting Montgomery, and I don't, or on Bijan Robinson, and I don't like that.
I think they're trading up to get him.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen, but let's cut that, please. I can't have Bijan Robinson playing me 2 times a year. Can't do it. Chris said negative on Carter. I don't want that mess on my football team. The Titans already dealt with UJ players with off the field issues.
That's fair. Yeah. And to me, it's just the fact that he's that good of a talent. And I think Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, the other, like the leaders that are actually players in the locker room, will be able to keep him in check. I really do. I think, and it'll all come down to, they brought him in for the top 30 visit. They interviewed him at the combine. They've done all the research they can on him.
Yeah.
So it'll ultimately come down to what they think. I also would say I'd be ecstatic with Tyree Wilson, with Will Anderson, with any of those guys too. Tyree Wilson also has the size. If he puts on another 15 pounds, the frame can work as a defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another one there I love. But Lions are a total wild card right now. I have no idea.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Uriel Jackson saying I think Seahawks will draft him, and we'll see. Alex said they're the wild card.
I don't think they will because they signed Jaron Reed back. They brought him back from Green Bay. And Poona Ford is still a free agent. They might end up bringing him back. I love the idea of Devon Witherspoon because you pair him with Kirby Joseph. They played together in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
You get some chemistry building in the back of that defense there, and it's interesting because Okuda's on the last year of his deal. You brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson for 1 year. Emmanuel Mosley's 1 year. So of the 5 starting DBs per se, 3 of them are out after this year, unless they're brought back. So corner is absolutely in play.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Johnny says, with Hooker being looked at by the DRs, I think Levis drops out of the first round. Yeah, I know that's a hot take, but honestly, after the first 2 quarterbacks drop off at talent is serious. In the second round is where I see most of them, unless they are really reaching. Maybe Richardson, because teams want the athletic ability.
I think there's 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round.
That's going to be.
I think Hooker's going to sneak into the first round, and I'm looking at Baltimore for Hendon Hooker.
Now, I will say this. Washington only brought in 1 quarterback with our top 30, and it was Hendon Hooker. So that would be very interesting. I had mentioned that either him, I was talking to Will, and you were in the comments, as a matter of fact, either Hendon Hooker or Robinson.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
DTR. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. One of those 2 I would have no problem with. My only issue is I don't want us to bring somebody in and all of a sudden you got what's his name? Sam Howell looking over his shoulder. That's why I love Brissett being there. So
yeah, I know the Lions quarterback, like visit-wise, we brought in Richardson, and we are bringing in Hendon Hooker next week, and Darnell Wright.
Ooh.
I love the idea of that.
Yeah.
If Darnell Wright at 18, slide him into that right guard, oh man, that offensive line is loaded.
Come on now.
I've currently got 11 wins for the Lions, which does win the NFC North.
Baby.
Got to see how the actual schedule is set out, though, because if there's long road stretches or back-to-back against, we play the AFC West this year, so you get, Chiefs, Chargers pretty close to each other. games like that, it could like lower down to like 8-9 wins. But I think it's 11 is where I'm at.
All I care about is if we meet you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Game time. It's game time.
Yeah.
Do not have a show that week.
Yeah.
Oh, reading reports on Levis is bombing in interviews, coming off as entitled and arrogant. Drops him out of the first round. Interesting. I like that. All right, look, let's go on. Let's keep going on this. We talked about our main tight ends. Now, are there any sleepers? We kind of discussed who's just outside the top 5, but is there anybody deep down that maybe like for me, Cameron Latu, and he's not going to get looks because obviously they really weren't passing that much at Alabama. He's got the ability. I mean, yeah, in 15 games, 2021, I mean, 26 catches, 409 yards, 10 games, 2022, with 25 catches, 322 yards, just 3 touchdowns. But he had almost 13 yards a catch, and in the QBs, when they were targeting him, 93, 94, QBR type deal. Like, so he was highly beneficial, but I just don't know that he's going to go anywhere in the top 4 rounds. I mean, he's a later pick in my opinion, but is there anybody else that you're looking at that might be a sleeper coming out in this draft?
So for me, I got 3. I'll start with the former Alabama player that transferred to Texas, Jaleel Billingsley. This guy was a 4 or 5-star recruit, played very well, and then just kind of got lost in the shuffle with all the weapons they had at that point at Bama. So went to Texas and played pretty well this past year. He'll be 5th, 6th, 7th round. The other 2 I'm looking at, Zach Kuntz from Old Dominion. Very solid tight end, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, but it's another guy that could potentially work his way into a starting role. And Josh Weil from Cincinnati. He's a guy I really like. He might slide into day 2, but I think he's a day 3 guy. Some people have him in their top 5 tight end rankings. So I think he's a little bit lower than that. I have him at 9. But still very, very solid. And I like this one too, Ben Brenahan.
Yes. That's what he was talking about out of Vandy. 3-year starter in the SEC. Yeah, especially with Clark Lee as a coach. I really like what they're bringing. Yeah, for me, I go to Big Ten, Payne Durham, 6'6", 240, 253, quick release off the line. And played with Aiden O'Connell was one of his top targets. Marshawn Ford out of Louisville, 6'2", 240, playing with Malik Cunningham. I liked what I saw out of him, albeit not that big of a sample size. I mean, he's a fluid mover, and we're talking about separation over the middle, but I don't know how well that's going to translate into him on the running game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With him being a blocker. And for the most part, shout out to my baby. I'll Daniel Barker. I'm just saying this because he's Michigan State. Like, I'm gonna be very honest with you. I'm trying to make sure that everything is good for me once my baby comes back. So Michigan State. But yeah, honestly, there's only a couple guys that are really that I'm looking at later, and I honestly think that they're just going to be depth chart guys. You know what I mean? They're going to be guys that are going to come in and maybe be able to put in them late on the adept. Who's your pick to drop most in this draft, at tight end or overall?
Overall,
These James Houston. This is gonna be interesting. Actually, with this comment, let's go ahead and go into it. We're gonna talk about overall. I'm gonna let you think on that for a little bit. But we told you we're talking about 2 positions in this one. You talked about James Houston, so let's go to this top 5 edge rushers coming out in this draft. We know the big names. We know the main guys that they're talking about, the Will Anderson, the Miles Murphy, the Tyree Wilson, Nolan Smith, showed out at the draft with that 4.39, and he was ticked off that he felt like he didn't run his fastest. I mean, that's always a good sign unless you're going against him. Who are your top 5 edge rushers coming out?
So for me, I already talked about 2 of them earlier. Number 1 for me is Will Anderson. Just elite off the edge. Great get off, great hands. He's got all the moves you want: rip, swim, spin. Has a mean bull rush. I love what he brings to the table. Number 2 for me is Tyree Wilson. He's not as great of a pass rusher as Will Anderson is, but he's still solid. He brings a lot to the run defense, though. He's very big, very strong. Those long arms, he's able to hold the offensive lineman out, find where the running back's going, and he's great at shedding the block. Very, very talented. I think they're both top 10 picks. Another guy that should be a top 10 pick, I don't know if he will be, is Nolan Smith from Georgia. I love this guy. I absolutely love Nolan Smith. This is another guy I forgot to mention. I think he's in play at 6. I really do. When I said Anderson, Tyree Wilson, Nolan Smith is in play at 6. Yeah. Just looking at what the Lions like in their pass rushers, I mean, you've got your strong physical guy in Aiden Hutchinson, but that other side is all speed guys. James Houston, Julian Okwara, those kind of guys. So Nolan Smith fits that bill to a T. And he is he's a bit smaller in his frame, but he's another phenomenal run blocker or stuffer. Sorry. He's, same thing as Wilson, able to shed the blocks, hold the offensive lineman out, see where they're going. I love all 3 of those guys. And then it's a drop for me. Again, just like tight end. Although this drop is bigger for me than the tight end drop. Number 4 for me, I have Miles Murphy from Clemson. I'm not as big on him as everyone else is. He's still a first-round prospect, but I think he's mid to late first, in my opinion. He's solid. He's a good run stuffer. I'm not as big on him in the pass game. He's more of a power rusher. Doesn't really have the other moves as much as I would like. But you're still getting a starting edge rusher. And then the kind of wild card for me in this first round is Lucas Van Ness from Iowa.
At Iowa,
he's an interesting one because he didn't start. So everyone's kind of like, why didn't he start? But when they were bringing him in those obvious pass situations, he was a monster. Whether he was rushing from inside, outside, wherever. So he's one of these guys that, like, for me, even though he's my 5th guy, I think the best fit for him might be someone like Atlanta as far up as 8.
Yeah.
Just he's got the ability to be an absolute freak. Yeah. Whether or not he's going to be, we don't really know. But it's going to be interesting to see where he falls for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, look, I'm not going to just mimic everything you just said, because for the most part, at least in our top 3, and actually, matter of fact, our top 4, I think we're fairly similar. Will Anderson's absolutely. I mean, he could have came out last year and been, top 5, if not number 1.
He would have been the first overall pick last year,
without a doubt, right? And so he reminds me of who's the guy? Khalil Mack. Quick around the edge, size, power, that type of thing. Obviously, you got Tyree Wilson. Nolan Smith is the most intriguing to me. At 238, but that 4.3 speed and that mentality of just like, I don't feel like I did my best there. My only issue with him, I just hope he doesn't go to the Eagles and just become the Philadelphia Bulldogs, because that's apparently what, George is just going to daggone Eagles. So I love that, and I'm eager to see if that can translate. We've seen it during the season, but even at Georgia, yes, he was solid. He was legit. Maybe he was a little overshadowed by just the whole defense was amazing, and you got Jalen Carter there picking up people. So this is really giving him that spotlight. For me, I love Lucas Van Ness. Shout out to Iowa. Shout out to what he brought to the table. I would move BJ Ojulari ahead of him at 6'2", 248. 4.5 needs, quality prospect. He's got good experience in production as a pass rusher, and I just feel like at that spot and having the experience of playing those years, I think Ojulari will just slightly be above Van Ness. Van Ness, you can't question the ability. You can't question when he plays. He balls out, and the size for Van Ness for me is so much better. He's almost 20 something, almost 30 pounds heavier than Ojulari. So I think that's going to help him because not only could you put him at edge, but then you can bring him potentially in the middle, and have somebody that has speed and kind of, come through there. But I mean, for the most part, we're fairly the same. So let's go into the sleepers. Let's go into the guys that maybe aren't on that list. The Will McDonald's out of Iowa State.
He's my number 6.
I mean?
Yep.
I was about to say, so go from there. Will McDonald, I know our boy Foobs, he's been talking about who's the guy from Army, Andre Carter.
Andre Carter. He does not make my top 10.
And see, that's what I want to know. I want to know who's where, because I've heard a lot of hype and stuff about him. But let's be honest, this isn't the Army that's on your
This ain't the Army I lost 2 heartbreakers to.
Right. This ain't that team, So who is it on this list? Will McDonald Jr. to start, but who is it that's coming up that we might not know about?
Yeah, so McDonald's my 6th, BJ Ojulari's my 7th. For every reason you said, I love what he brings to the table. Keon White for me is my number 8 from Georgia Tech. He's had a great pre-draft process here, was very good at the Senior Bowl, had a good combine, all that. He's making himself quite a bit of money this year. Isaiah Foskey for me from Notre Dame. He's one of these guys where if we were talking falls the most from like their from mock draft 1.0 to where they're at, he's probably falling the most.
He's
everyone else is doing so good. He's just kind of staying the same, so he falls all the way to 9 for me. He's out of the top 5 all the way to 9. And for me, another guy that's fallen quite a bit, Kansas State's Felix Anudike Uzoma. We're getting to the point where there's like this crop of 6 to 10. Actually, I'll say 7 to 10. I think 4, 5, 6 is kind of my tier 2. 7 to probably 11, 12, 13. You're still getting a guy that's going to be a very good rotational guy. He's probably just not out there the majority of the plays.
Yeah. I got to be with you on 6 and 7. I think we're straight on that. I mean, if we're talking true sleeper, I do want to talk about Drew Sanders out of Arkansas. At one point, he was leading the country in sacks. Like he was balling out. He didn't look great for when he was over at Alabama, but since he transferred, I mean, he really stepped up and has been playing pretty well. I mean, I think we're all in agreement on Carter. I mean, I don't know. Like I just respect his ability and respect what everybody's been saying, but I didn't see it from the beginning. We had an Andre Carter at Washington that I thought was overhyped when he was with us, and that kind of maybe that was the correlation I made with the two of them. But he's just done. He's a great athlete and everything like that. But
it's the athleticism and it's the massive frame, the ridiculously long arms. It's all the stuff you can't teach that has everyone excited. He just doesn't have a lot of the stuff you can teach.
Yeah. And
the fact that we're sitting with a guy that's coming to the NFL draft that doesn't have a lot of the technique means he's a day 3 prospect. Yeah. He could become one of the better edge rushers from this class, but he's a day 3 guy. He's a 4th to 7th round guy.
Oh yeah. Uriel said, I saw a mock where Jalen's going to the Eagles. No, I do not accept that. I hope doesn't happen to him and Jordan Davis. Yeah, that'd be terrible.
See, what I hope doesn't happen is that we pass on him at 6 and Chicago takes him at 9.
Ooh,
I don't want him in division either. So I would almost take him at 6 and take the chance so he doesn't end up in Chicago at 9.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. I agree with this. I mean, if you've seen Anthony Orji, he balled this year. Like he really had a number of big games that made you kind of like, Orji? Who is this guy? You know what I mean? And obviously, because of the last name, you're just like, did they say what I think they said? Orji. Yeah. Somebody have an Orji? But the guy can play. I mean, impact player, man. So, well, I mean, what are your thoughts on Orji? Because I liked watching him play. I want to see if it's going to translate, but I do believe he'll be a steal.
I'm right there with you. I think there's so much to work with there at the NFL level. We got to see what actually translates, and that's the same thing with all these guys. But he's a guy that at some point here somebody will pick him up, and a lot of people will be like, "Who is that?" But the people that know who he is will be like, "Let's freaking go!" Like, somebody's gonna get a baller with this guy, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Going deeper down the list, obviously, son of the great Brian Cox, his son is finally coming out in the draft. I'm Brenton Cox Jr. We've kind of seen him. He's technically sound. He's consistent tackler. I mean, he was sometimes a lone bright spot on a struggling team. We've seen what Florida did this year. I mean, if he had a couple more years, maybe he could do something. I'm wondering where he goes. I know he'll drop. Another guy, Avon Pace Jr., transferred over to Cincinnati after being, I think, like the American Conference Player of the year before, or from somewhere else. I believe maybe Ohio or something. I don't know where he came from. I got to look that up. But he's another one. Let's go deep down into that. I mean, Brenton Cox, Thomas Incoom, even your guy, Mike Morris, I think that is. Like, who's the gem? Who's the one that we're looking down there to find?
I mean, selfishly, I would say Mike Morris, but I think realistically, like a Nick Herbig, a Zach Harrison from Ohio State, the fact that he'll go day 3 is ridiculous. He's much better than that. There's guys, Byron Young from Alabama, Colby Wooden from Auburn could be another guy. There's a lot of really good edge rushers in this draft class. It's a lot like we were saying for the interior offensive lineman. You're going to get guys on day 3 that are not only making your 53-man roster, but are competing for playing time right off the bat. They're very solid guys. Like, if we're looking at guys, if we're trying to get guys that are going to be like 7th round, like kind of Mr. Irrelevant guys, another one for me is Nick Hampton from Appalachian State.
Ooh,
I like a lot of what he brings to the table.
Yeah, talk about, because I've heard his name come up from time to time, but obviously we've seen when they I've seen them up close and personal. But what are your thoughts? Like Nick Hampton?
He's a bit smaller for an edge guy. He's 6'2", but he's got the longer arms. He's 34, 35-inch arms. So he's a lot of what I was saying with Tyree Wilson, Nolan Smith, those guys. I love him in the run game. The ability to hold the offensive lineman out strong enough to kind of lock them out and kind of be looking for the running back, shed the block, and go. He's not as great as a pass rusher, but I think this is a guy that if you'd have to put a bit of weight on him, but he could play that 3-tech as an undersized guy. He's strong enough to do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, look, I mean, and there, like you said, this is a very deep edge rusher, very deep position in the draft. So you're going to get some guys like Alex alluded to earlier that are maybe not as high on the projected list, but that's more because the top tier guys, we know how far they are. They and there's a gap, but still you got guys that are able to contribute to teams, and that's what is needed definitely this year. I have a question by Johnny Dean. Sean Spinner and Alex Loosemore, tell us who you really like. Name the top 3 picks you would take on each of your teams. If you've watched this, you know my number 1 pick, Cody Mock, out of North Dakota State. Yeah. He's a guard, but he can play a lot of different decisions. Michael Mayer, I really like him. People have been trying to kind of get me off of him, but I like him, and I'll settle for Darnell Washington. But for me, it's going to be O-line, tight end, and then secondary. Witherspoon, like they were talking about earlier at Illinois. If we go corner first, I want Christian Gonzalez or Joey Porter Jr. just to spite my Steelers fans. But honestly, yeah, it's for me, it's defense, or it's O-line, it's secondary, and it's tight end. And tight end, I can push back because there are a couple guys that I feel like I could potentially get in the 2nd or 3rd round. But Mayer is who I want personally. Who are your top 3?
So I'll go kind of positional like you did too. So I'll say the edge rushers are my number one. Will Anderson, Tyree Wilson, Nolan Smith. They're my number one. If we get any of those guys at 6, I will be so happy.
Oh, yeah.
Number 2 for me is Osiris Torrance.
Oh yeah.
He was a guy that at first I was like, yeah, we could probably get him in the second round. Like what he brings. We'll see. And then the Senior Bowl happened and he crushed it. The Combine happened and he crushed it.
Yep.
Pro Day happened and he crushed it. Just like time after time after time.
Right.
And now it's like he might not be there at 18 when we pick. So a guy that we were like, yeah, we can probably get at 48, 55, somewhere in there. Now it's like you'd be lucky to get him at 18. So Osiris Torrance would be another guy where I would either trade back at 6 in the kind of the teens there and take him, or I would consider trading up from 18 to get him personally. And then third, I'll go right there with you, tight end. Yeah. And more specifically, Darnell Washington. That is the guy I want. That is my guy that I want.
Now, hold up. First and foremost, that's not fair because you have Penei Sewell, who is a top-tier tight end himself.
Yeah, and put them right beside each other.
Right. Just interchange
and all these short yardage and all that. Sewell, Darnell Washington right beside each other. God. And then you line up the other side. You load up the other side so Sewell and Washington can be the 2 eligible guys.
Yeah. Oh, good gracious. All right. Yeah, that's that guy we don't play you 2 times a year. If you get that. Sean Spencer, the Bucks are taking Mock. Never. I'm not speaking that. Actually, I think Tippmann is more likely for us. Okay. Out of Wisconsin. I like that.
He's thinking day 2 or day 3 there for day 2, sorry, for Tippmann round 2 or 3 is what I meant to say. But
who do you think the Rams will take? First overall?
In their second round there.
No, that's right, because they can't. They don't have. This
is
the last year
got their first round pick.
That's right. Rams. Well, so we'll talk about the second round, Scott. Sorry, buddy. It's so you can trade back in. I don't know.
Well, see, we gotta find out 34 picks that happen before we get to the Rams. I think they're like 35 somewhere in there. So, I think edge rushers in play, offensive lines in play.
Yeah,
running back is in play. I've heard.
Absolutely.
Wide receiver should be in play.
Well, they're going to be what, the 8th
corner?
They're what, the 6th pick for
6th pick,
round?
But
second round.
I'm not sure because you get some of those like Atlanta's picking 8th in the first round, but I think second round they don't pick till actually like 13th, 14th. I think just the way it, because all those ones where they have the same record, they kind of flip flop, right? So
gotcha. Okay.
I don't exactly know where the Rams. Here, I'll look it up.
Yeah, because I'm saying I think tackle is going to be huge, and there might be some guys that you can potentially take. Yeah, you're going to need that.
36, so they pick 5th.
Okay, to tackle. I don't think they're going to be a quarterback that's going to be available. Maybe if Levis is there, if he drops that far.
If he drops, yeah. I think if he's there at 30 and 31, somebody's trading in to get that 5th-year option.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to pick him up.
But I don't think Minnesota lets him get by either. Kirk Cousins on the last year of his deal.
Bye, Kirk. Wait. Oh, I added something just for that. I didn't even know if it was going to come out, but here we go. Let's go. Great job. Man. See that? See, man? We're on the same page. Yes. I didn't even tell him that I put that in there. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. Yeah, so, hey, look, we're going to stick with it, Scott. We're gonna continue to talk about it, continue trying to figure out where exactly people we're going to go, especially closer to the draft we get. We'll see who's making trades, who's making these moves. But be with my guy over here. Him and Andrew Faubert will be going live on the draft on that day, the first 2 days, or
night 1 and 2, I believe. Yep.
Yeah, night 1 and 2. So definitely stay tuned because it's going to be very interesting to see not only who they picked, because they got a little thing going to see how many correct that they can get in the first round.
Every year we do this.
Oh, yeah. But also further down. And this is why, if you like watching this, you're going to love watching their draft because it doesn't stop at 32. It continues to first, second, third, fourth. And so you get guys that we've been talking about that might get picked up later in the draft, but it's fun, guy. If you know, you know. Like if you're into it and you really start getting giddy over this time, Christmas is on its way. That's all I'm gonna say. In April. Okay. And then Johnny said NFL Edition will do a pre-draft show on Wednesday that week. Oh, okay. Let me go ahead and book my seat in that. I might have to jump on that.
Absolutely.
I think the Ravens take Washington.
I don't think so.
Right. They have three solid.
You got Mark Andrews. You got Isaiah Likely, Charlie Kohler. They're I don't think they're going another tight end. They'd probably go another receiver.
I can see that because they need that. They need that. I mean, well, they need to get Lamar settled first, but
yeah.
He says, do they do any first?
Round 1 is night 1. Rounds 2 and 3 is night 2. And then on the Saturday is day 3, rounds 4 through 7.
Yep.
And me and Johnny last year did all 3 days, and I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
Never again.
I remember just watching y'all. And so Let's Talk Football did the last 2 years we did the first day. Just the first day. Last year was Sydney and Ash with a bunch of people coming in. The year before that, it was myself, Nicholas Rosario, and Delilah Crespo. This year, we're just kind of going to be dispersed through other people's shows and kind of just keep picking up on that. And it's I like that because it's you're not tied to being at one different spot. But then there's the other side of you that kind of is like into the whole building of it and getting to different people and everything. And it's like, this year. But I'll be a part of something. I'll be a part of something that we got going on. Man. But look, we're at the end of the show. But if you are not familiar with the show, there's something that we always do. We're gutsy. We're, we in our dynasty modes, we're not, if it's 35, it's 34 to nothing, we're not going to go for 35.
No,
We're going for 2. Yeah, buddy, going for 2. Alex, what do you have for us today?
So mine is more just kind of life-based. With it being Easter weekend here, just take some time, visit family, spend time with the people you love, and just take a weekend to relax here. Yes, enjoy it. There's plenty of football on. Obviously, Easter's tomorrow. For those of you that, are of the faith, happy Resurrection Day. And I guys just piggybacking on that, man. Just appreciate the people around you. Appreciate your family. Appreciate those that work with you. Even if you get in little arguments and get back and forth, whatever, appreciate them that are around you because as we've seen all over this country, tomorrow's not given. I mean, we had over in here, I live near Dulles Airport and there's a mall at Dulles Mall. And like 2 or 3 days ago, there was a shooting there. I go there all the time. And it's one of those situations where I'm not one to really stop and just think, but it was one of those where like we were going to go there that day. Like I work with a guy that we were going to work guy with a mental disability that I take him out, take him walking and stuff. And we always go there. And he had mentioned that. And I just didn't want to go there that day. And it's just like, take a minute and just take the breath and just think and just be appreciative. Like my guy said, be appreciative of your family, appreciative of having shows like this, and appreciate to you all you guys that came in here, watched us, listened to us, talked back to us because yes, we can do this. We can talk to each other for hours just doing this back and forth, but it makes it that much better when we have you guys paying attention and listening. So 100%.
Appreciate that for sure. Oh, yeah, Johnny, appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend and happy Easter. Yes, sir.
Right back to you, Johnny.
Right back, yeah. So, hey, you know what it is. Appreciate Johnny, Scott, Andrew was in there. I know Kat was in there. Nathan, Urel Jackson, appreciate you watching. Every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Come and join us leading up to the draft. But, hey, man, let's go ahead and get out of here. It's your boy, Sean Spencer. My guy right there, Alex Loosemore. We will see you next time. Alex, Restoring the Roar Tuesday?
Yeah, it's coming back this Tuesday. Was just letting some stuff build up to talk about. So yeah, we'll be back Tuesday.
So Restoring the Roar Tuesday night, Washington Football Weekly Wednesday night, NFL Edition Thursday, obviously NSD Friday. Hey, somebody's going to be talking one of these days. Let's go.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Yo, so hey, we will see you next time. Have a good Saturday, and hey, take care of yourself. Watch the spring game, guys. Peace.
Yes.